Let us now cast our gaze to one amongst the four. Not War, who lies chained at the Council's feet, professing his innocence, but one who would save his brother above all else. He has many names: Kinslayer, Executioner, Death.
Hi everyone, it's the Comic Fan Man here, coming at you with another video. And in today's video, we're going to cover here the Abyss Knight from Demon Flame Studios and Coser Toys. The Abyss Knight is based off of the character of Death from the Darksiders II video game here. And if you know anything about the Darksiders games, they are based on the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. The first game was based on War, second game was Death, and then the last two games I believe were Fury and Strife, although they should have been Famine and Pestilence, but you know, they changed it up for their own lore. I did not play number 3 or 4, but I did play the first two games and they were pretty cool. Platforming action games. And all of the art on the Darksiders games is based off of the art of Joe Madureira, which you might know better as Joe Mad, famous comic book artist from the late 90s, early 2000s. He did stuff such as X-Men and Ultimate Avengers, and then went on to do his own stuff called Battle Chasers. And then from comic books, he transitioned into video game art design. And he did Darksiders. He got his Battle Chasers RPG off the ground. He was able to do that, which was fantastic. And then I believe he designed a couple of like video game characters for other video games. I think he did like a wolf character for Warframe. So yeah, you know, his artwork is very prevalent. And I do have a very special place in my heart for Joe Mad's art. But I am not just a fanboy. I actually did have a personal connection to Joe Mad back in the day. But I'll discuss that later toward the end of the video. But in the meanwhile, like as you can see, the packaging art here is based off of Joe Mad's sketches. And they look fantastic, and I'm really happy to have this figure. I did get this figure in January, but I had put it like, you know, away with some other packages, and I completely forgot I had this figure. So as I was cleaning out my workshop, I found the package, and I was like, oh shoot, what is this? And I completely forgot that I ordered this. So let's open this up and see what we got inside. All right, so because this is an international figure, I just opened this up and I wanted you to see this. I love this tray system that the international figures use. Look at this. This is really cool, very neat. You don't have to worry about the zip ties or twine or anything. They just put it together, and look at that. Each section has a tray. It's one tray for the weapons here and one tray for the figure here. And this is absolutely stunning. I think they did a fantastic job just looking at it like this. So let's go ahead and take everything out and put it all together and see what we got. All right, so here he is out of the box with all of his accessories. Death the Abyss Knight, and he looks fantastic, and this pack out is pretty crazy. Now, first things first, I do want to show you, he does come with this extra faceplate, and he comes with this key here for the faceplate. Now, this key is in the game. I believe it's called the Maker's Key, because the Makers were the faction that was helping him to try to free his brother from, he was framed, War was framed for starting the apocalypse. So the Makers were helping him, and this faceplate is really cool, but I'm not going to use it simply because this one has regular eyes, and he didn't have regular eyes in the game. He always had these comic book style energy eyes. But take a look at this. You plug the key into the eyeball, into the back of the eyeball, and you can actually move the eye around. Look at that. That's pretty cool. That's an interesting thing. I've never seen that on any of my figures, but that's neat. But again, I'm not going to use this faceplate simply because that's not the way he looked in the game. I'm going to leave him with his energy eyes. Next is he's got this little scarf here, really cool. Very detailed, a lot of fabric web meshing in there. Very nice, and I love the little paint work here. And then he's got these two expressive, like, reaching out hands. Look at that. That is, whoever these companies are, like, they did an amazing job here to capture, like, Joe Madureira always does crazy expressive hands on his drawings. So seeing it here done in physical plastic form is really nice. I love this. And now let's look at his weapons here. This is crazy. So both of these, this one and that one, are the same. But this one, I did pop the handle. There's a spot here for you to put the handle, so that way you can slide it in and out of his hands. But look at all of this crazy detail. The runes are really nice, highlighted blue color with this gem there. And look at the back there. He's got the blue eyes and the mouth is articulated. How wild is this for a weapon? Like, this is exactly the way it looks like in the game, and I think they just kind of took the 3D model and made it into plastic, because that's what it looks like. And the paint and the sculpting work on this is amazing. So here's what it looks like without the handle pommel on the bottom. So you slide that into his hands, and then you put this in. But yeah, same thing. Really amazing work. Love that gunmetal silver as well. Beautiful, beautiful. And then in the game, when you do a heavy attack, the two blades come together to become this beast. Look at this Grim Reaper. Like, it's so crazy. He's got like all of these souls running down the blade. And they all kind of have that little blue highlight in their eyes. Absolutely stunning what they did here. And this one also has a pommel for the bottom that you put on there. So it's a little tight right now, so I'm not going to force it. Got to heat it up first. But that looks amazing. I love that. And now let's take a look at the figure himself. Death. From Darksiders 2, look at this amazing, amazing figure. First of all, he's heavy. He's actually quite hefty for a little guy. I think he's in the 7-inch scale. We'll check that in a little bit. But yeah, he's hefty. He feels pretty heavy. And the paint, look at this paint job. That very sickly pale, almost greenish hue to it with these pink highlights to do the muscle. Look at that spine work. That's awesome. And then this, I guess, tribal insignia that's like ripped off of his skin instead of tattooed. So you see the muscle and sinew underneath. Wow, wow, wow. Look at this figure. And again, this is the way he looked in the game with his eyes like this. So I would prefer to leave him like that. Really well done. If I remember correctly, like, you could change out his look. So this was one of the very many looks that he had. Look at all of this crazy detail. And paint wash everywhere. Absolutely stunning. Amazing, amazing work. This is kind of loose, but it doesn't really matter. It's just so that you have articulation. But look at the wraps there. Again, all of the armor done up in this bone finish. Look at that ram head there. And all very much in the Joe Madureira art style. And then we've got these soft good fabrics here. And they are amazing. Look at all of this out here. It's got discoloration. He's got this like real leather belt with a buckle. And these pants here. And it goes around the back. So that's really cool. And the soft goods does not get in the way of his articulation at all. Like, you can pose him around really, really nicely, which is fantastic. And now let's take a look at these Joe Mad boots. Again, the sculpting, the painting to make this all look like bone. It's just, wow. Next level creations here. And yeah, I love what they did here. Oh, he's got like articulation there. He's got these Revoltech shoulder articulation points, which is good to, like, you know, really make his motion go out a lot. He's got swivel there at the bicep, and ball joints for the wrist. Really well done. And then, like, to get the shoulder back, you just push it in just to give him his natural look again. The ankle rocker is a little limited, simply because he's got these oversized boots, but that's fine. He holds his position really, really well. Like, this is amazing, amazing, amazing. I love what they did here. All right, let's set him up with some of his weaponry and see what he looks like. All right, so here he is using the two sides as his weapons here. And if I remember from the game, I do believe he held his sides like this. It was sort of like a reverse, battle stance almost. It was kind of, yeah, it was different. Like, you would think he would have it where the blades would be out, but no, he actually had the blades like this, where they were reversed during his stance. So yeah, the fact that you can do that here is pretty cool. Actually, you don't really need to pop these off. They can fit on his fingers. You just kind of have to warm up the hands a little bit to kind of like open them up a little bit to put the handles in. But it can fit in there without having to take off these pummels. Without a problem. And yeah, he looks absolutely stunning. I love the fact that the scarf sits right over the head. You don't have to pop the head off. You could just put the scarf right over it. And that's really cool. Man, the work that these the work that these companies did on this blade is absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. And the work on the figure, like, this is truly, 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 like, I have seen other action figures based on Joe Madureira's art, especially like from Marvel, when Toy Biz was doing X-Men, when he was there, and none of those figures ever came close to Joe Madureira's art style. But this is almost like a one-for-one right off of the video game screen onto plastic form. It's beautiful, absolutely stunning. Fantastic work by this company to get this figure into this style. All right, let's put the big scythe on him and see what that looks like. All right, and here he is with the heavy scythe, making it look like he's swinging it. Look at this beautiful, beautiful figure, man. And I changed out the other hand for the Joe Mad expressive hand. And take a look, he can still hold it with both. Make his articulation move up. Yeah, that looks pretty crazy. I love that. That's amazing. Wow, this company, I think they did an amazing job capturing Joe Mad's art here, bringing it to life. I just think it's absolutely stunning. Look at all of the work that they did on here. That's really amazing, man. All right, let's do some comparisons. All right, and here he is next to Masterverse New Eternia He-Man and my legendary Barbarian from Mythic Legions. And he lines up really well with these sizes. Again, a little bit shorter than Masterverse, but a little taller than Mythic Legions. Works perfectly. All right, and here he is alongside a couple of McFarlane Toys figures, the Marauder from Doom, and Medieval Spawn from way back in the day, like 1990s. That was done by McFarlane Toys, so this would be one of their vintage figures. And as you can see, his aesthetic works really wonderfully with these. He's a little tiny bit shorter, but yeah, you can definitely see him fit on any kind of like medieval dark gory McFarlane shelf. All right, and here he is going up against Illidan Stormrage, and yeah, this looks spectacular. They just work well together. Simply, they're both wonderfully detailed figures and painted and sculpted and articulated. It's really beautiful, and his wings just put this figure over the top, and it's just like, man, they just work wonderfully together. I love this. All right, so Death did fight a couple of giants in his video game here. So I'm using Sir Oxak here with his demonic undead head here, swinging his warhammer at him, with him jumping out of the way and getting ready to strike down with his giant scythe. And I think they look fantastic. Obviously, Mythic Legions goes really well with this figure. And I think they look stunning together. And he is so articulated. You could put him in like running and jumping poses. And so long as you got like some kind of stand there, like, yeah, you can do a lot of dynamic stuff with him. And very quickly, I did wanted to show you, I know I showed you that the jaw articulates on this scythe, but the top of the head also articulates, and it exposes another skull on the inside. So it's like a skull within a skull. It's an inception of skulls here. Look at that. That is fantastic. What a neat little detail. I didn't catch that the first time I showed them, but as I was messing around with his stuff, I saw that. It opened up, and it's really awesome. All right, so dealing with one more contender here. We have him going up against the V-Toys Knight of War here. Another international figure, and yeah, as you can see, their aesthetics work really well together. And yes, as you can see, his articulation is really awesome. This is the Fonjoy Batman stand. Their stands are amazing, so I've been using it on other figures. So just wanting to show him like leaping in the air, getting ready to strike down on his enemy here. Yeah, look at the way you can pose him around. He's really awesome. I love the articulation on this figure. It's just really great. All right, one last thing before I close out this video. Take a look at this. If you got a UV flashlight or UV light of any kind, look at what happens to all of his details. It all glows. His eyes glow. It just lights up all of the runes. That's amazing. Gotta love it. All the work that they put into this. That's crazy. Look, even in here, there's a little bit of detail in there that comes up with the UV light. I love it. I think that's fantastic. What an amazing figure this is. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this look at the Abyss Knight, otherwise known as Death from Darksiders II, from Demon Flame's Studios and Coser Toys. I think they did a fantastic job on this figure. And the painting, the sculpting, the soft goods, discoloration, all of these weapons here with amazing detail on them. And then on top of it, you add onto it this little black light detailing on everything. It's pretty crazy. I love this. He did come out toward the end of 2024. So he does fit within my top 10 list of 2025. So he will definitely be on there somewhere. And again, he is just a faithful recreation of Joe Madureira's art. And like I stated earlier, you know, I'm not just a fanboy of Joe Mad's art. I actually do have a small history with him because Joe Madureira and I were classmates. We graduated from the class of 92 from the High School of Art and Design. We had a couple of illustration classes together. He was always a really cool, down-to-earth guy. We were all part of like a group of kids that, like, you know, we were all collecting comics. And Joe Mad, his favorite comic book artist at the time was Arthur Adams. And, you know, I remember the day that I knew that I could feel that he was going to do something major in the comic book field was when our illustration teacher had us do like our own recreation. She gave us a project where we had to recreate our own version of a classic movie poster that we enjoyed. And I kid you not, to this day, I remember that drawing perfectly because what he did was he did a recreation of the Legend poster, the Tom Cruise movie with Tim Curry as Darkness. He did a wonderful drawing of that. And to this day, I don't even remember what I did for that project, but I can remember his drawing. And I knew from that point on, I was like, man, this dude is going to be something major in the comic book field. And yeah, he turned out to be. And I know, like, sometime after graduation, he was very big into Arthur Adams. So his art style was very much Arthur Adams in his drawings. But sometime after graduation, I believe he took a trip to Japan, and I believe he saw Ninja Scroll. And then once he saw Ninja Scroll, that's kind of where he came up with this hybrid between Arthur Adams and anime. And he created this wonderful, wonderful look that still works to this day. I mean, he's done, like I said, he was big in comics. He's done, you know, X-Men, Ultimate Avengers. He did his own Battle Chasers. He did a couple of Image guest appearances where he did some Image comics. I believe he did a Savage Dragon. And then he started going into like video game design, the artistic side, like the art director's chair of video game design. And yeah, man, he just did a bunch of wonderful, wonderful things, and I could not be happier for the dude. Like, he was really, like, he was such a cool guy in high school. And yeah, you knew, like, he and I both went in for the internship at Marvel Comics, and he beat me out. I knew that once I knew I was going up against him for the internship, I was like, dang it. Joe's definitely gonna get this one. But yeah, that was a really cool time. And he was a really cool guy, and I'm really happy for all the success that he had. And now I get to have a 3D piece of Joe Madureira art in my collection, and I could not be happier. All right. If you feel that I've earned it, please give me a like and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Thank you, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.